Hi, everyone. Uh, Welcome back. It's always great to see you all. And yeah, it's going to be end of August. So yeah, heading towards the final quarter of 2021, pandemic period. We are right in the middle of it. So I thought that with all my other videos, I thought that this time we will do something different. So we have structured an interview session with one of my clients, prominent clients who've been with me for several years now. And I've been assisting him, and he is on the final stages of his Yezhurai Sani, 7.5 years Saturn, or Sade Sati, as they call it in northern India. So please welcome Parveen Kumar, who has been my lifetime friend and client. So Parveen is also here with me in Australia. Obviously, we are different suburbs away, some distance away, and with the pandemic environment, we can only do a Zoom session and an online streaming such as this. So please welcome Parveen. Would you like to say a few introductory words?
Yes, thank you very much, Velu, for having me on your show. And my name is Parveen. I'm here today to share my experience of going through this Yezhurai Sani from approximately started off somewhere in 2015. Can't remember the exact month.
Yeah.
2015, and it's all the way through to next year, 2022, somewhere in April, if I'm not wrong. So today I'll be here just to give you, to share my experience of how I started the entire journey and what are my learnings and experiences and feelings and probably some thoughts on how my journey has brought me all this way and what I've learned from.
Yes, I think it's the important thing is for our other viewers, audiences, brothers and sisters out there worldwide, in fact, and just to give them a guideline of the do's and don'ts and what you can expect in such a lengthy period. Yezhurai Sani is, as the name implies, 7.5 years of Sani dominated period. It is very challenging because you have to produce results. You are limited in your resources, such as what you have also experienced, and we will get into that. But let's start off by asking a very general question, a very straightforward, middle of the pool kind of question. So you have gone through roughly 6 years of it now, out of 7.5 years. So you've got roughly about 16, 15 months. How do you feel about Yezhurai Sani as of today?
As of today, to be honest, it's a very tough question to answer. But to summarize it, I think I feel very numb about it, and it's like I'm feeling different about the last 7 years, the last 6.5 years. If I'm talking with reference to me being here today and thinking back on how I came through the last 6 years, I've become so numb to so many things, so many challenges and so many ups and downs that I've experienced over the last 6 years. I think the best word to describe it would be I've become indifferent. So because once you overcome certain challenges and you've been through certain bad times or challenges, and if you overcome it and you think back on it, you don't really feel so, you don't really feel so bad about it because you've managed to overcome it. you've come a long way. It's just like when you think back on your childhood memories, you probably have bad childhood memories and you laugh about it. Some of it you can laugh about it today and you joke with your friends.
Yes.
But it's different when you're there and then experiencing it. You feel different about it at that period in time, just like how we feel about the current period in time.
Yes.
But I think to summarize last 7.5 years, it's the one word would be, I think I feel numb. But it's in many ways good as well, because you do have ups and downs, and you've overcome those challenges. So that's always a good thing.
Okay. So for the benefit of our audience, I'm also dropping in Parveen's chart, which will come up in the video right about now. Yes. And right. So I have saw it fit to actually remove his birth details. So birth time, date, place, Navamsa chart, and Dasa Bhukti is not going to be shown. I'm just showing the general Parveen's Rasi chart, so as to indulge in a bit of privacy on his side. So you can see his chart down here. He is actually about to finish his Yezhurai Sani. So like I said, quite a lengthy period, and he has striven on for so long. Obviously, me being his astrologer, I have known some of the specific challenges that he has faced. So Parveen, can you tell us what are the major challenges you have actually experienced?
Okay, I'll break it down to 3 parts. The first 2.5 years, roughly from 2015 to 2017.
Yeah.
So when I first started my 7.5 Yezhurai Sani journey, I actually had no idea I was going through it. So I was oblivious to astrology as a whole, and I just thought it was I was just going through a bad luck, sort of a bad phase, a bad luck. But I had no idea it was linked to astrology, or I had no idea about it being linked to astrology. So in 2015, it all started when the first big hit was when I lost my job in 2015.
Okay.
So I lost my job in 2015. Early 2016 was when I lost my job.
Okay.
So I got the job in 2014. I left a different job for this new job, which paid me double salary, twice the salary of my previous job, and I thought it was a very good opportunity, and I took it. And when I took that job, it was a big company, and I thought my life was sorted. Everything was going to go to the sky. I was sorted for life. I didn't have any worries, and I was going to get married, have children, and all that. And then in 2016, the job lasted for a year. And then in 2016, the oil price dropped, and I lost my job as a result of that. And I was jobless for more than a year until 2017. So I was jobless for roughly a year, 1 year, 3 months. And that is when I moved to Australia in 2017, somewhere in July. So that's pretty much the overall, the rough idea of what sort of challenges I went through my first 2.5. So I lost my job, and I finished all my savings, which is about around 100,000 ringgit in Malaysia, 120,000 ringgit in Malaysia. I finished all. I over the span of 1 year where I was jobless, I couldn't find a job. I finished up almost all my money, my savings on living expenses and surviving that whole 1 year, 3 months. And then in July 2017, which so happens coincides with my second phase of my 2.5, just the middle phase of my Yezhurai Sani.
Okay.
That was when I decided to move to Australia, and that's when I engaged you, Velu, because you were already in Australia at the time. So I got in touch with Velu, and Velu helped me to sort of get sorted or get organized and to settle down, so to speak, in Australia. And that was when the second phase of my Yezhurai Sani started. And again, I was jobless.
Yes.
And then somewhere in 2017 August, actually 4 years ago today,
Yes.
28th August 2017 was when I got the job that I have now. So that was the beginning of
Of the
after a
middle
year,
phase.
more than a
Yes.
year of being jobless, I got a job. And the job was basically about it was a job that brought me to a very remote location in South Australia. I
Okay.
was working in the outback. I know, we isolated from everyone, and isolated from friends and family. First
Okay.
of all, I was isolated from friends and family because I traveled alone to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
I left everyone behind and I traveled alone. So that was the first impact. That was the first thing that I felt when I reached Australia, actually, was that I left everyone behind.
Okay.
And friends and the network that I created in Malaysia, I left everything behind. And I never realized how important they were to me up to the
Okay.
point I got to Australia and I realized they are not with me. They're no longer here. I can't call them. I can't meet them. I lost, and I felt it. That's when I felt it. And then when I got this job, and this job brought me to an even more remote location in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the South Australian outback, where you don't see any humans for weeks. And that was another challenge. It was another challenge where I was away from the friends that I had here in Australia. So that was the main challenge of my my mid phase of my Year Sani was managing emotions, managing friends, managing life without friends and family.
Right.
And that somehow went into 2019, 2017 to 2019 roughly.
Yes.
So then 2019, mid 2019, I would say, is when the final phase began.
Yes.
And then up till now,
Mm-hmm.
sorry, mid 2020 actually. So it should be mid 2020 is when the
The final phase. Yeah.
final
The
phase
beginning.
starts.
Beginning of
That's right.
20. Yeah.
2017 to mid 2020. So the beginning of 2020, and then all the way up till next year, 2022, which is the current phase. So as everyone knows, 2020 was when the pandemic started, coupled with me being in the situation that I am. So at the time, I was in Victoria when the pandemic hit in March, in late February, March, and all I did was pack a bag of clothes,
Yes.
one bag of clothes and shoes, and I drove to South Australia because they were going to shut the borders that night. So my boss called me up and said, "No, you have to leave. We're getting you a car. You're going to get into the car. You're going to leave." And I left Victoria on the 31st of March, 2020, and I only was able to come back in November. I was in isolation for 8 months with one suitcase, with one pair of shoes, moving motel to motel.
Oh, wow.
Every 2 weeks for 8 months.
I see.
Coupled with the fact that I know friends in South Australia, I know family in South Australia.
Right.
I have nobody in South Australia.
Right.
I do have friends, but they're all distant friends. They're not friends that I'm close with. So it's not the same. But that amplified what I went through in my second phase was amplified further in my third phase. Moving room to room every 2 weeks with the same suitcase, the same bag, set of clothes, the same set of shoes, and with no car. So public transport, bus, Uber, and all that.
Yes.
That was the challenge. So it was more of a mental challenge
Yes.
on top of a pre-existing mental challenges that was already there. However, when I was going for my second phase, my third phase, I had sort of overcame the mental challenges that I got in my second phase, as in friends and family, missing friends and family. And as I got to the third phase, I was at a stage where I could manage that. Over the 2.5 years, I learned to manage it.
Yes.
And then in the third phase, the pandemic added added 10 times the stress on top of all of that.
Yes.
by me having to improvise and live with a bag of clothes and live with one pair of shoes and no car for 8 months.
Right.
And I overcame that as well. So
Yes.
in November 2020, when I got back to Victoria for the first time in 8 months, I got back, and I was very happy that I actually overcame that. And even my immediate supervisor was actually very surprised, and he said, "Thank you very much," because somebody else probably wouldn't have lasted that long.
Of course.
And there are a lot of other circumstances behind it as well. I'm not married, I'm single, and I'm not married, and there are a lot of other circumstances. So my team leader said that if you were married and you have a child, you probably would have left a long time ago, which is actually very true. So there are a lot of circumstances that played its part in that as well.
Okay.
And then, and as we speak now, I'm in Victoria now, and the borders have been shut to South Australia. So I'm still struggling to get my border access to actually go back to work.
Right.
That is, so now the pandemic has added another different challenge for me, because I can't go to work. So I'm stuck here. I've been in isolation for the last 6 weeks, literally in isolation for the last 6 weeks, and I can't go across the border.
Right.
That's today and here now. That's my challenge here now. And that adds a lot of stress, because it involves my job, chances that I may not be able to cross the border and do my work. And that may have other implications down the road.
Right.
And all these are, and I'm supposedly at my third phase and final phase of my Yezhurai Sani, and yet it's still everyday challenges, different challenges are coming in.
Yes.
And I'm not alone in this. Everyone is going through some form of, everyone here in Victoria is in isolation. Everyone's going through some form of stress. But basically, I'm talking about myself. So this is what I'm going through now. So just a basic rundown of a summary of. So the first 2.5 years was basically financial stress.
Right. Having lost your job and
That's
spending
right.
your
Financial stress. And the first 2.5 years was for me one of the happiest 2.5 years in my entire life, actually, because that is when I went through a transformation. I was morbidly obese, but when I lost my job, I actually had the time. I invested my time in losing weight. I lost a lot of weight. I got back my ideal weight. I even had my 5 minutes on national TV.
Right.
But towards the end of that first 2.5 years, I started getting worried because I didn't have enough money. I was running low on money. So the financial stress aspect of it started coming in, because generally, like you said, Velu, Yezhurai Sani is all about enemies, money, and health.
Yes.
So generally, problems come in three forms. Comes in either form of enemy, form of financial problems, or health problems.
Right.
If you look at a whole in anybody's life, these are the three main problems that you have.
Yes.
And so the first, I can roughly say that the first 2.5 years was more of a financial thing. I was physically fit. I was happy because I met so many friends. I created new friends, so many new friends, which I'm still connected with today via social media and all that.
Yes.
But we were so close. They were like something like my air that I breathe, because every day we meet up, every day we go for workouts, and I understood the value of that, the value of taking care of yourself, the value of taking care of your health. So that's probably one of the learnings from my first 2.5 years. Despite having the financial stress, the benefits that came out of it was I understood the value of being healthy, and why everyone should strive to have some sort of daily need to be to look after yourself, your health.
So
And
I could I say that you at 2017 or 2015 to 2017, you were in midlife, male, working class individual, and you have lost your job and have been jobless for about roughly 15 months right? 1 year, 3 months,
Yeah,
as you
that's
said,
right. Yeah.
and being in the prime of your life to actually being an income earner and not being given the opportunity to work. That is a
That's right.
very interesting kind of stress that Yezhurai Sani actually gives. You rightly said that Sani, for Sani gives the average working class, midlife working class male and female income issues, health and enemies, or partnership issues and all that, spousal issues. So now you are in the prime midlife. Sunny has stepped into your life. It's like a dark cloud, and you were jobless, but you went into fitness, into rebuilding your health, and you saw the silver lining in that dark cloud with your new friends that you made. And I think that is one of the key takeaways that we would like our audience watching, that the situation may become tense, may become challenging to a point where you may be suffocating. And you have to, of course, now in retrospect, now you have actually gone through that phase, that particular phase, the first one and the middle one. It's like years before today. And now we can pick up on lessons learned. And like you said earlier in your introduction, that when you're going through it, it's not the same thing as looking back, because looking back means you have already gone through it and you live to actually see the situation and lessons learned. Was there ever a time where the stress was just too much for you?
For the first 2.5 years, to be honest, the stress started when I realized that I was running low on money.
Yeah.
But for the first, when I was going through that phase of actually losing weight,
Yes.
no, I was actually enjoying the entire process, and I started loving it.
Okay.
And but I think so. Being jobless was actually where the stress came. Not having enough money to the worries of financial burden
Yeah.
down the road was what caused stress, and not being able to find a job was also uh, the key factor of stress, because there were several jobs that came up, but however those jobs were taken due to whatever reason, though I didn't get those jobs despite going for interviews and almost getting the job. And then I got a call and said, no, we had to give this offer to someone else.
Right.
And I just and so the job went to someone else.
Yes.
And that was as close as I got to a year and a half, a year, 3 months to getting a job. And
Mm.
then I had a short gig with a contractor that I knew that used to do work for me for that job.
Yes.
And he said, "Yep." So I got a short gig with him. So
Mhm.
and I got a bit of work as a mentor, as a trainer
Right.
with the outfit that I was training with.
Mhm.
So there was a bit of income coming in on the side. However, it was just there, just enough, just barely enough. I wouldn't even put that as a significant amount, but it did pay nonetheless. So there was a
Right.
bit of income coming in from various streams, from the fitness side, from the work that I was doing on the side as well. However, that was not accumulating to anything that would give me that would alleviate my stress. So the stress would be I couldn't find a job, and I knew that if I went on like that, I wouldn't be able to sustain
Right.
living there. So that was basically the main stresses that I had for the first 2.5 years would be financial and job. And yes, at that time because just after, because it was like a real huge letdown, because I took that job because of the
Yes.
offer, and within a year and a half I was just let go. And I wasn't the only one, because a lot of people took very good offers, but within a year and a half
You just lost it.
Because
Yeah.
mid 2015 is when the oil price dropped to about $40 a barrel. It was trading at about, I think it was $90 or $80 a barrel, and then it dropped $40 a barrel. A
Yes.
significant drop. So a lot of people lost jobs. But that's the funny thing. If I hadn't had taken that job, if I stayed with my previous job, I may still be there doing that job,
Yes.
because that position is still there. I'm in contact with my previous boss, and the job is still there.
That's
So
right.
and the company is still there. They're still doing that work, and they're still there.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, it's a bit it's hard to explain these things. You take on a job, and I had no idea that that I was going through a certain phase. I had no
Yes.
idea about Yezhurai Sani. I had no idea what is going on. All I
Right.
thought was, I saw a good opportunity, I took it, and it was for a very big multinational company, and I thought my life was sorted, and this is it.
Yeah.
This is life. Because everyone wants to work for a big company, and everyone thinks that your life is sorted, and that your worries all come to an end, and life's going to be bed of roses, and there's no issues
Yeah.
in life.
Yes.
So the first and that was, I think that was when the wake up call actually came, that life's not like that. There's no such thing as a bed
Okay.
of roses.
From
You know
from the beginning till today, I mean, in the chunk of your Yezhurai Sani phase, your 7.5 years, do you feel you are in control of your life?
No, you're not. I
You're
don't
not in
think I'm
control.
in control. I don't think I'm entirely in control of my life.
Yeah.
I used to think that. I
Yeah.
used to think that I will always be in control. I can become anything I want. I can do anything I want. If I, but I personally don't think that is true
Okay.
for
So
everyone.
somewhere along the line, so that's when you came to me as a client to read your Rasi chart and your astrological standing. So how do you feel about the entire process of getting to know about astrology and getting the readings from me?
I think when I came to you, it's when we met up in 2018. Actually, we met up when I got here in 2017, and then we
Right.
started talking about astrology.
Yes.
In 2018, quite seriously over coffee, and that's when you started looking at the charts and looking at what the past was like.
Yes.
As in from 2015 to 2017, and that's when it started to make a lot more sense, as
Okay.
in what was happening. And then from 2018 to to 2020,
Yes.
what it looks like. And I think the important thing about about you explaining about it is, you explain you're able to give a guide as to what sort of challenges you can expect, and what you can try to do or not to do to
Okay.
get through that phase.
Right.
So basically, that is, from my understanding, that's what astrology is. You go to an astrologer. Astrologer looks at your chart and tells you, okay, this is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
This is the cards you've been dealt,
Yes.
and this is what is coming your way, and this is what you need to do or not do to get through that. There are certain things you need to do, probably.
Right.
When I say need to do, I don't mean pay money and do something. What I mean by do is certain things, like for example, if an astrologer might, like you told me, you're going to go through a bad phase where enemies you might have, people might be giving you problems for no reason. So how do you overcome that? You can either pick a fight and try to win that,
Yes.
or you can accept that you're going through a certain phase and let it come. It's like a storm. The storm will come, and you can't stop the storm. It's going to come. It's going to go through your house. It's going to break everything in there, and then it gets rebuilt.
Right.
So that's why, that for me, that's what it is. So I think you told me what to expect,
Yes.
and you told me what to do and not to do.
Mhm.
And you can either choose to do it or not to do it. Sometimes it's not so much about being right,
Mhm.
but sometimes you have to lose. You may be right, but you're not in the position to fight and be right.
Right. Okay.
So you need to pick your battles,
Yes.
and you have to understand the situation you're in and what you need to do to
Right.
overcome that and come out of it.
Yes.
So over the last 6 years, there's so many situations where, like for example, when I was going through my mid 2.5 years, when I first got the job, my mid 2.5 years,
Yes.
I got a job in the remote outback, and then as
Mhm.
usual, we had colleagues, and different kind of colleagues. Everyone has got their own. Everyone's different, just like your friends, your everyday friends. Everyone's different, and you need to understand them. You need to understand how to navigate around them,
Yes.
because if enemies were to come, they come in any form. They
Mhm.
can come in your as form of your colleagues, as family. One day a colleague just starts picking an argument, picking a fight on you,
Mhm.
and which happened to me as well. For example, someone filed a complaint that I was messing up the stations, and I was throwing rubbish everywhere for no
Mhm.
reason. That
Mhm.
complaint went to my team leader.
Mhm.
So what I did was, immediately I thought about it. I thought about what Velu said, and I said I could either fight and argue and say I'm right because I
Mhm.
know I'm right. I didn't mess up the place,
Mhm.
and I could have fought the battle and said, yeah, I'm right,
Mhm.
and I insist that I'm right, and I could have
Yes.
started an argument.
Right.
However, what I chose to do instead was just pacify the situation and say, I'm sorry if I did that. And the next time I'm at these stations, I'll snap photographs before I leave the station
Right.
to prove that this is what the condition is when I left. And my
Yes.
team leader was very happy with that.
Right.
And so I alleviated the situation, because I could have went the other way and said, look here, I did not do it, and insisted I did not do it, and
Yes.
that would have escalated out of control because of the situation, because of the time that I was in.
Of course.
I had no idea what would have happened. I would have
Mhm.
created enemies. So I didn't want to create enemies at my workplace, because I knew if I start creating enemies, my time is not right, and it would
Yes.
just make things spiral out of control, and I was in no control at all, because in your 7.5, your elder son, you're not in control of anything. So
Right.
nothing, you have to understand, that is how I felt. I was not in control of anything.
Yes.
And so you have to be smart on how you navigate. So this is where astrology comes in, and you need to know what sort of challenges. That's where the astrologer advises you on the potential challenges that you will face,
Yes.
and how you're going to navigate that. So sometimes you have to lose. You have to admit defeat, but something good usually comes out of that at the end of the day.
Yes.
Because today, years later, after that complaint, no one remembers about the complaint anymore. The same
Right.
people who put the complaint in about me, they themselves can't remember about the complaint. Every day when I see them, they laugh and smile and talk to me.
Right.
So everyone has forgotten everything.
Yes.
And I have no idea how or why,
Yes.
but nobody remembers. So you will have these sort of experiences where somebody will just start picking a fight with you, or one fine day you'll have this pain in your body or that pain, depending on what your astrologer advises you.
Yes.
Like Velu advised me about knee pains, because in going through a sunny period, you'll have body aches, you'll have knee pains, joint pains,
Yes.
and things like that. And what do you do?
Mhm.
And sometimes you feel like eating. I think there was a period where I was eating a lot. I just couldn't control my eating.
Right.
And coming from someone who went from obese to being fit,
Yeah.
I couldn't accept that. I couldn't accept that I was eating profusely. I was just eating anything that I could get my hands on.
Right.
I couldn't accept it, and I told Velu, I can't accept this.
Yes.
I know I'm not supposed to do it, and yet I'm doing it.
Yes.
Why am I doing it? I'm
Yes. I
disgusted with
remember that.
myself. I'm doing it.
Yes.
and you get, and you consciously know. For me, I consciously knew I shouldn't be doing certain things, and yet I was doing certain things. And that's when I realized there are a lot of things that is beyond my control.
Right.
As controlled as a disciplined eater, me being, having a history of being such a disciplined eater at one point, in my first 2.5 years, I was
Yes.
eating anything under the sun that I could get my hands on, which was,
Right.
and it disgusted me to a point.
I see.
So you'll go through different every day, every other day throughout the 7.5 years, you'll have something that's odd and that's beyond your control. Which is why I say, when you ask me the question, do you believe you can control everything's in your control?
Yes.
I don't think that that's absolute.
Right.
I think there are certain things you can control, but certain things I don't think you can control.
So you do. So you have come to an understanding that in this phase, 7.5 years, there are some situations have been fabricated for you to purposefully experience a mental anguish. Do you believe that?
Yes, I believe that. So I believe
Okay.
in my over the period of my 6 years
Yes.
that I've gone through, that I have gone through certain mental anguishes. That's probably customized for me. For
Yes.
example, when I lost, when I came over to Australia, I didn't have friends and family,
Yes.
and that was a mental anguish of some kind,
Mm-hmm.
and I overcame that. To an extent, I overcame that. I'm here today. I'm still here today, and
Yes.
I've overcome it to some extent.
Right.
And someone else probably may not, because everyone's different. Everyone's got a different challenge.
Yes.
Everyone will accept the challenge differently, which is why. And also, I want to point out that I probably overcame that challenge easier because I'm not married and I don't have children.
Of
So if
course.
I had children, or if I'm married today, and if I go through that same mental anguish,
Right.
it may be a lot more different, because as a father or husband, you have a family to take care of. You have different emotions to manage. You have children, a wife,
Yes.
and there's a lot more stress on top of the work that you do, on top of the lockdowns, and on
Mm-hmm.
top of the not being able to travel to work and being away for 8 months. If my wife was here and my children were here and I was away for 8 months,
Yes.
I may be in a very different state today. So
Correct.
the fact that I'm single and I'm not married may have helped me overcome that a lot easier. So it is always going to be different for somebody else in the same situation.
Of course.
So my
Right.
experiences are basically mine. It's anecdotal.
Yes.
It doesn't apply. It's not absolute for everyone, but it's
Right.
purely my experience. But I think what I would like to point out is the why what did you do for me, rather, as an astrologer, is we spoke about the chart. You told me what I'm going through roughly, and what to expect, what your chart, explain the chart, what sort of challenges are you going through, why you go, and more importantly, why you're going through a certain challenge. That's
Yes.
the tricky part,
Right.
because in my first 2.5 years, I didn't know why I was going through it. I thought I was just being picked on by God or somebody. The powers that be was just picking on me, gave me a job, and took my job away. I thought, how is that fair? I got a job, and then out of thin air, I just lost my job,
Yes.
and I didn't have an answer as to why that was happening.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's where astrology comes in. Is it gives you the why. To some extent, it tells you why.
Okay.
And like Velu said, it's linked to your karma. So Elder Sun is all linked to your karma. You're
Yes.
paying for something. You're paying for your past karma. So
Okay.
that's the why. At least in the grand scheme of things, you know that you lost your job because it's part of your karma, and
Right.
it's a challenge that you have to go through, and you have to overcome it and come out of it. And
Yes.
that's why. But and that gives you a different sense. So if you know why you're doing something, it makes more sense. If you know why you're going through a hardship, it makes more sense rather than you going through a hardship and not having any idea why you're going through that hardship.
Yes.
That's where the frustration and the anger comes in. And you think that you get angry with the world because you think that God is bad and the world is bad and everyone's and if, like, for example, you have colleagues who start putting complaints in and you have no idea why. You start thinking your colleagues are bad and the world is bad and everyone's bad. But if you know that you're going through a certain period and you're going to go through a certain period where you're going to have enemies, you're going to have financial problems, that's where the astrology guide, that's where Velu guided me uh, as to what I would expect and what I can expect, and how you should manage your emotions, and how you have to manage yourself, because you can't change what's coming. If someone's going to be an enemy, the enemy is going to come. They're going to come, whichever shape, form, and size. They will be there.
Yes.
They can either be your colleagues, they can be your family, they can be the guy walking down the street. He may stop and slap you in the face.
Yes.
Because and next day he won't remember why he's slapping you in the face.
Yes.
But it's going to come. But how you react to it, you can either punch him back, both of you have a fight, or whichever way you feel fit to manage it. But you have to manage it that way, and the consequences, and deal with the consequences. Every action is going to have a consequence out of it.
There's some level of accountability. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So there's no right or wrong to it.
Okay.
You can choose to pick a fight, you can choose to walk away. Either way, you can choose. There's no right or wrong, I believe, because either way, both come with consequences.
Right.
And you have to be accountable for the outcome of it.
Okay.
So so basically, when you know the why you're going through a certain period, and what you need to, and what you can do to alleviate that period and get through the period, you'll feel a lot better. So for me, that is what astrology gives to me.
Right.
It gives me the why. I think for me personally, it gives me the why.
And the
why I'm going to
it is important to you to actually go to sustain and to go through quite a lengthy period. 7.5 years is not, it's not a small feat, right? So
it's not, it feels like 20 years.
Right.
It feels like 20 years. It feels like, because you're a totally different person from the start. And now, even after 6 years, I'm a totally different person. I'm not the same person mentally. I'm not the same person physically.
Yes.
But more importantly, mentally, and you're not the same person mentally. I've become a totally different person mentally.
Right. Right.
I was an entirely different person. I was always thinking before my 7.5. I was thinking life's sweet and dandy and everything's a bed of roses. No problems, no issues. And then now I see life differently. So so you will change. It will change you. You will be an entirely different person. It definitely made me an entirely different person.
Right.
How I think, how I manage friends, how I manage relationships, business relationships, personal relationships, how I manage my work, how I manage people I meet on the street.
Yes.
It changed everything, my perspective to everything, to finance, to health.
Yes.
To everything. And it will change you. At least for me, yes, it did change me.
Okay. Thanks for that anecdote. I think it was quite thorough and detailed. And I think you stepped into many scenarios because 6 years already is quite a lengthy time. And of course, with depending on your chart, as we showed earlier to the audience, how your chart looked like and where Sani is positioned. And of course, your Lugnam and your Rasi is different. For everyone's benefit, Parveen is Kadagam Lugnam and Dhanusu Rasi. Dhanusu Rasi with Kedu in that house. So there's a bit of contentment in mind as well. So his situation is different, which may be different to what you are experiencing as the audience here. So I think we've come to the final segment of our interview. I think we will come to a close after you answer the last question here, which is for our brothers and sisters out there. We believe, or we have come to the understanding that we are modern, and the way we live, and our openness to a global world, and we have become very scientific, technologically advanced species, humans I'm talking about, and particularly from the Vedic regions where Hindus are from, myself, yourself, and our ancestral line is from India. And Vedic astrology, Jyotism, is what I actually take up and do as astrology. What do you tell to the modern audience, modern people suffering from not just Yezhurai Sani, even Ashtama Sani? What do you tell them about astrology?
To summarize it, I think astrology, it's a very helpful way to understand what you're going through.
Yes.
In general, you'll go through ups and downs throughout your life.
Yes.
So regardless whether it's Yezhurai Sani or Ashtama Sani, you'll go through some form of ups and downs in your life every day from the time you can remember, or say your mid-30s, when you actually start working till your death.
Yes.
You'll have some ups and downs. And so this is where astrology comes in, where, as I mentioned earlier, it gives you a guide.
Right.
It gives you a guide as to how to get along, how to manage some of the tumultuous times that you may encounter in your life. Of course, Yezhurai Sani and Ashtama Sani are the more critical periods in your life where you'll have more downs than ups.
Right.
But then again, that depends on a lot of different people. I believe could be different. Some may have a balanced feeling about it. It's like I said, it's everyone will feel differently at the end of their 7.5. But in general, you're supposed to go through some form of cleansing throughout your 7.5 Yezhurai Sani or your Ashtama Sani. And astrology, the whole purpose, I think, for me, astrology is everything is in your birth chart. Everything is outlined in your birth chart, and the astrologer interprets what's in your birth chart for you based on your birth chart. It's unique for you.
Of course.
And based on that birth chart, you'll know when your Ashtama Sani, when your Yezhurai Sani, whether you've passed it. Some of you may have already passed it when the time you're reading your chart. And so your astrologer interprets that for you in terms of the real world, what is going to happen. Not what is going to happen, let me rephrase that, like what you can expect to happen.
Right.
So, and how do you alleviate that to some extent? Because like you said, Velu, there's no mandram, you can't pay a ayar to do any puja to alleviate
remedies.
What's coming to you.
Yeah.
What's coming to you, it's coming. The storm's coming. There's no puja that's going to stop the storm.
Yes.
And and go around your house.
Right.
The storm is going to go through your house. It's going to bring your house down, and you're going to have to rebuild that house.
Yes.
So the storm's not going to go around your house.
Right.
That doesn't work. And so you have to and that is where the acceptance phase comes in. So you go past the denial stage and you're in the acceptance stage. It's coming. It's coming in some shape, form, or size. It's coming. So you're prepared for it mentally, rather than not being prepared for it mentally. And you also have to understand that there's no such thing as, after your Yezhurai Sani and your Ashtama Sani, that life is going to be great and you're not going to have problems. So like I'm coming towards the end of my Yezhurai Sani. So that doesn't mean everything is going to be 100% smooth and sailing from then on. There's going to be ups and downs. But that's where astrology comes in. So that's where Velu helps me as well. So in terms of telling me what I can expect and what I can do or not do
Right.
to smoothen that situation out.
Right.
So I think that is what, to me, that is what those are the benefits of astrology.
Right. So just recapping what you just said earlier, during this phase, you feel like you have minimal sense of control. Yeah, you can control.
During this phase, I have minimal sense of control. Yes.
Right.
Very minimal sense of control.
So dominated by external forces, which is basically your karma of the past. That floodgate is open and it's just pouring through into your spine, particularly your Merudanta, or the spine in Sanskrit. And it's causing you to face your past deeds, karma, and you are cleansing. One of the words that you use, which I found very prominently accurate, is deeds that you cleanse. So I guess, what do you want to tell someone who is about to go through this phase, or who is going through it? What are the words of wisdom and care that you like to tell them?
Firstly, I would think if anyone is about to go through this phase, and if you have met an astrologer, and if your astrologer has advised you on what you can expect, and do take it seriously, but you need to understand that it is your life. The outcome is based on how you react to it. So challenges will come your way, whichever challenge that may be, financially, emotionally, enemies, and health, whichever one's coming your way. And if you've been advised that you're going to be facing a certain challenge in that number of years, do take it, do be cautious about it, and do what you have to do. Like it's a health, if you know that your health is maybe at risk, or you may have certain health issues that are coming your way, then you need to take certain actions to make sure that you have done your best to ensure that you don't really, it doesn't become as bad as it could. Or if you know you're going to have a bad patch, a bad relationship with a group of people in that period, then you should learn how to manage your emotions and be careful what you say, and be mindful of how you manage. So everything has, you have to take that seriously. You have to listen, you have to understand, and remember there is no magic fix. There's no such thing as I'm going through this and I do this to solve this. That there's no such thing as 2 + 2 is 4 in that context, because your problems are varied. Your astrologer only tells you you're going to have a certain problem. The astrologer can't tell you, pinpoint, or say this guy's going to come to your house at 10 o'clock at night and hit you on the head. Your astrologer can't be that, and you can't ask the police to come to your house at 10 o'clock at night to stand by and wait for the guy who's going to come hit you on the head. It doesn't work that way. So you're going to have certain challenges over a period of time, and it can happen anytime, anywhere. You don't know when it's going to happen. You don't know how, which shape or form it's going to happen. So you have to be mindful. And yes, he'll put you in a stressful period, but probably that's what it's meant to be. It's meant to put you in a stressful period. But that's all part of the grand scheme of things. So that's why you can't control it. You can't 100% stop it, but you can alleviate it to some extent based on your reaction to certain things. But it will come. Like I said, the storm will come. Your enemies will come if they're coming. The storm is coming, it will come. But you can either put barriers up to reduce the effects of the storm on your house, and so there's minimal damage on your house. The same way, you have to, that is where the challenge is. That's the challenge. So your astrologer interprets the chart, tells you what to do, tells you what to expect, and You need to, and you need to do what you need to do. There's no book that says do this and get that,
Right.
or do that and get this. There's no
Yes.
book to it, because everybody's elder son is different. Mine's different. What I'm talking about today is my experience
Yes.
and what I did to overcome my problems. But it may be, if you were in my shoes, you would have done something different to overcome the same problem.
Yes.
So it's not going to be the same for everyone, even if we're in the same situation.
Hmm.
So you have to understand that everyone is unique. And so don't compare yourself with someone else. Um, that's the thing. Don't compare your problems with someone else's problems, or someone else's Yelda Sani and your Yelda Sani may be entirely different.
Yes.
So always treat it as a unique case. If it's you, it's you. It's your challenge. It's something you have to get through, and you'll get through it if you persevere, hopefully.
Right.
There's always going to be days where, even for me, there's some days you just want to break down,
Yes.
but it's part of it, and you just come back up and say, "Yeah, you got to do your best because you dealt with the cards you dealt with, and you got to. That's the game you have to play with the cards that you have."
Yes.
So that would be my advice for anyone who's going into it. Um, if you have the advice, if you have an astrologer, you have someone who's giving you a guide, um,
Right.
then that's the general idea of it. At least you know why you're going through it. You know roughly what to expect, and you can start thinking of how you manage it. Like for me, when Velu told me about what I should expect, I already started thinking about, okay, how I can tackle it if it happens, or this happens, how I tackle it. If that happens, how do I tackle it? I start thinking about it. So when it happens, when one fine day you wake up and it happens, something happens, and you think, oh, okay, so you roughly have an idea of how you're going to tackle that situation.
Yes.
And so you're somehow a lot more prepared than not being aware of what to expect.
Right.
So, but more importantly, you'll go through ups and a lot of more downs than ups, obviously during that period, because it's cleansing of your past karma. So it is going to be a challenging period depending on what your karma is. Everyone's
Yes.
karma is different. So I think that would be my advice. Be prepared for it, mentally
Right.
prepared for it.
Yeah.
Be mentally prepared for it.
Yes. I think that is a very critical jewel of an advice. And thank you so much, Parveen. I think you've been a very good spot in actually giving us a glimpse of your Yelda Sani. And you are still going through it. And I've given you some advice as well for the remainder of your phase, the last phase. So hang in there. You are almost out. And for the rest of y'all watching, the audience, uh, well, hopefully this is a guide, gives you some knowledge about what it is in the context of someone who has actually left one country to another. As I always say that during Ashtama Sani or Yelda Sani, a middle-aged guy would most likely be thrown into another country, most likely from the country of birth. Normally happens for most people. And it is evident it has happened to Parveen here. And yes, so not just that. We spoke about many different aspects about mental anguish, about losing money, having a select circle of friends, being picky about eating and then over indulging in eating without control. And of course, that was a different phase of the Yelda Sani that he has experienced. So it's all there up for the picking. And we would like to thank Parveen for this interview. And I hope you all have gained some kind of knowledge, experience, will and trust to go through your own sunny period that may or may not come anytime soon for you. As usual, if you'd like me to read your chart, please look at the details below and reach out to me through WhatsApp, phone call, email, or you can drop a comment in the section below. And yes, so stay safe, everyone. I hope that the weekend is kind and the remainder of the year is kind and fruitful for you. And we will meet again. Thanks, everyone. And thank you, Parveen.
All right. Thanks, Velu, for having me on your show.
Thank you.